Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls.
Tomorrow is Memorial Day. I won't be able to take part in any of the festivities because I'll be driving to the Miami VA for some things I'm doing down there. But I wanted to launch this special episode. My father served during the Vietnam era. He was in Thailand with the Air Force. His brother served during that era. I don't know anything about his history, but I know other than he was in the Navy. My stepfather served from Korea through Desert Storm, including being on the ground in Vietnam. I know that he lived to be 81. He died in early 2013, but he suffered a great deal for many, many years because of things he encountered, chemicals and such, never mind the traumatic thing. I mean, I know that he suffered with PTSD and things like that, but he never talked about it. And that was just something he kind of kept to himself. This recording is, and if you've listened to any of my recordings in the past and you know anything about what I do, you know that I get very emotional about this subject. I love so much these men and women and everything that I do. And so my apologies up front, because the thing I'm about to read you was sent to me via email yesterday from my Master Guns, E9 Marine. He was my Master Guns when I was in school for the Marine Corps in DINFOS, Defense Information School. Anyway, he sent this out to his email list yesterday, and it's statistics from Vietnam. And I was at the beach, the place I love most in the world, and I couldn't read this without choking up. So again, I don't anticipate it being much better. So this is just some history about the Vietnam Memorial Wall. It says, a little history most people will never know. Veteran statistics of the Vietnam Memorial Wall. There are 58,267 names now listed on that polished black wall, including those added in 2010. The names are arranged in the order in which they were taken from us by date, and within each date the names are alphabetized. It is hard to believe it is 63 years since the first casualty. The first known casualty was Richard B. Fitzgibbon of North Weymouth, Massachusetts, listed by the Department of Defense as having been killed on June 8, 1956. His name is listed on the wall with that of his son, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Richard B. Fitzgibbon III, who was killed on September 7, 1965. There are 3 sets of fathers and sons on the wall. Of all the names listed, 39,996 were 22 years old or younger. 8,283 were 19 years old. The largest age group, 33,103, were 18 years old. 12 soldiers were 17 years old. 5 soldiers were 16 years old. 1 soldier, PFC Dan Bullock, was 15 years old. 997 soldiers were killed on their first day in Vietnam. 1,448 soldiers were killed on their last day in Vietnam. There are 31 sets of brothers on the wall. 31 sets of parents lost 2 of their sons. 54 soldiers attended Thomas Edison High School in Philadelphia. 8 women who nursed the wounded are on the wall. 244 soldiers were recipients of the Medal of Honor during the Vietnam War. 153 of them are listed on the wall. Bealsville, Ohio, with a population of 475, lost 6 of her sons. West Virginia had the highest casualty rate per capita in the nation. There were 711 West Virginians on the wall. There are 711 West Virginians on the wall. The Marines of Morenci, Arizona, They led some of the scrappiest high school football and basketball teams that the little Arizona copper town of Morenci, population 5,058, had ever known and cheered. They enjoyed roaring beer busts. In quieter moments, they rode horses along the Coronado Trail, stalked deer in the Apache National Forest, and in the patriotic camaraderie typical of Morenci's mining families, the 9 graduates of Morenci High enlisted as a group in the Marine Corps. Their service began on Independence Day, 1966. Only 3 returned home. The buddies of Midvale, Utah, Leroy Tafoya, Jimmy Martinez, Tom Gonzalez, were all boyhood friends and lived on 3 consecutive streets in Midvale, Utah, on 5th, 6th, and 7th Avenues. They lived only a few yards apart. They played ball at the adjacent Sandlot ball field, and they all went to Vietnam. In a span of 16 dark days in late 1967, all 3 would be killed. Leroy was killed on Wednesday, November 22nd. Jimmy died less than 24 hours later on Thanksgiving Day. Tom was killed assaulting the enemy on December 7th, 1967. The most deaths for a single day was on January 31, 1968, when 245 service members were killed. The most deaths for a single month was May 1968, where 2,415 service members died. To those who survived the war, and to the families of those who did not, we see the faces, we feel the pain that these numbers created. We are haunted with these numbers because they were our friends, fathers, husbands, wives, sons, and daughters. There are no noble wars, just noble warriors. Again, my apologies. I have said repeatedly, I have both the best and worst job in the world. I love so much the connections, the men and women that I've dragged out of social media and sometimes kicking and screaming, I think, but they have turned into the most amazing friends and a support system that I could not imagine being without now. And so this is for them. This is for those that have come before us, those that are still serving, those that will serve after us. Heroes are a special breed. They just are. There's just something different about them. I'm just so very thankful for everything that they do and for having been a part of that, for being accepted into that community as active and now through Hero Harbor. What I'm getting at is it's so easy for us to say thank you for your service. At ball games, we stand and put our hand over our chest and a hand over our heart and say pledge allegiance to the flag when we sing the national anthem. Or I've said more than once on these podcasts that despite coming from a pretty heavily fortified military family, I never really had this huge sense of patriotism. I mean, we didn't talk about, we didn't talk about their service. I knew about it, but it wasn't, it wasn't this big deal. And I have said that I think for most of us, it wasn't that the military gave us discipline, because if you succeeded in the military, then you were that kind of person anyway. The military gives us direction, especially because so many of us go in, really, really young and have no clue what we plan to do. It teaches you a lot about yourself and what you're capable of, and maybe instills a little confidence that you might not have had before. But I think the biggest thing it gives us is a sense of patriotism, when I drive down the road, I recently drove from Orlando, Florida to Waco, Texas. And along my drive, there are a significant number of very large American flags, and I can no longer see those without just getting a little misty. And yes, I get misty easily. Part of it is because I'm always tired. But it's because I care so much. The other thing, like I said, that patriotism, along with it comes the real understanding. And this is what Memorial Day is about. The real, true understanding of what we mean when we say freedom isn't free, because it's not. It's It's paid for by the blood of our men and women in foreign countries. The other thing that Master Guns sent to me yesterday was a definition of 3 different holidays. One of them is Armed Forces, and it says Armed Forces Day is for those who are in uniform. Veterans Day is for those who used to wear the uniform. And Memorial Day is for those who never got to take the uniform off. So one last thing just popped into my head. I wasn't aware of this tradition or protocol. Anyway, whatever you want to call it. But I was going into the VA in Gainesville some time back and for something for my dad. And I got off of the elevator and they were rolling away a gurney, and it had a body on it, and it was draped with a flag. And it was just, it caught me off guard. And it was just really surprising. And again, caught off guard. I'm not surprised that they do it, but it's just, if you don't have a hero in your life, if you have never talked to anyone about, a veteran about, some of these things, and it's easy to hear the stories, to watch TV and stuff, and it becomes, it's just another thing. It's almost like not even real. But when you talk to these men and women, when you hear the things that they went through, and then when you see those statistics, it brings it home. It makes it real, and it helps you understand just a little better the struggle and the pain and the thing is, these people, they're so often very proud, and they often won't talk about it. Again, that's why the mission of Hero Harbor is so, and many other organizations is so important, because we need to get to these people and help them. A large part of what's so important about Hero Harbor is not just what we are doing and want to do and have planned directly, but really more importantly is how we are working to bring all of these organizations together, because there's so many organizations and individuals out there who understand the pain and who want to help, but everybody is struggling, in their own way. And so, as businesses, as individuals, and so, one of the big missions for HH is to be the platform to get all of these people together and get them all seen in one place, rather than constantly struggling with all the different social mediums and that, because we can do more good if we work together. Please, as you go out there and celebrate today, remember what you're celebrating. Please, take a moment just to remember these men and women that we lost and continue to lose and will lose in the future, and the ones that even now that walk around having done their service, but now carrying the scars from that, mental, physical, all of those things. Just keep these people in your hearts today and tomorrow. This will launch tomorrow. Your ability to celebrate, to do all the things you do here in America are in large part because of the sacrifice of these folks. And I, for one, am incredibly thankful. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend and be safe. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed the content we shared with you, please subscribe, review, and share this show with your friends. Verimour, the dating app, and Hero Harbor, the social connection tool for heroes, are both in the app stores. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Verimour, Verimour_app, or Hero Harbor.